Hi everyone, this is Luciana Paulise. Welcome to the Leading Remotely webinar. We're going to talk about 4 practices to become an agile leader, which is something that is very much needed today. We have teams that are distributed, teams that are local, and these practices will be useful for all of you. Either if you are a leader that you have a team, or also if you are working with other people, even if you're not leading them, these are practices that will help you all to work much better remotely. This webinar is organized by Storming and the We Culture. Um, I am the speaker. I'm Luciana Paulise, or you can call me Lu Paulise. I'm a coach, speaker, and book author, the founder of Storming Training. I'm also the senior member for the ASQ, the American Society of Quality. I'm a regional deputy director for the West South Central region. And I'm also vice president of the Argentina Texas Chamber for the Innovation Division. I have experience in oil and gas, manufacturing, and retail. Have a master's in business administration. I'm a quality engineer and also a Scrum Master. So that's why today we're gonna also share some practices on agile methods, agile methodologies, and some of the lean methodologies like 5S. And well, my specialty is to speak and write about agile leadership, cultural change, and how to engage teams to work remotely and innovate, even if you're working remotely. I'm also the author of the book 5S Your Life, which is in English and Spanish. I'm a Forbes contributor. So you might have seen some of my articles online. So let's start with the webinar. If you feel like you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. You can write them on the chat, or you can wait until the end of the presentation so that we can address all those questions. So we're gonna start. So nowadays, the workforce is, as you may have seen, is changing at such a rapid pace. There are new technologies that demand continuous innovation. The enormous amount of new products make customers more picky than ever. They want products more customized for them. More technologies and more products bring more innovation and complexity to the table to every company, which require multidisciplinary and global teams to handle this. So it's not just because of COVID that we have to work remotely, but also we need to count of people from different places, different backgrounds that will help enable our teams to be more effective in making decisions. But of course, with COVID, we all had to adapt these teams to work remotely and work and become more self-disciplined to be able to work from home. And so the workplace has forced us to evolve, prioritize teamwork, and eliminate all these silos so that we can all work together to accomplish the results that we're looking for. So as you have seen, all these changes have been impacting tremendously the finances of the companies. You may have realized that this has become or is becoming the era of knowledge, where employees' ideas, especially as part of a collective effort in a team, have more worth than physical products sometimes. Earlier this year, we saw, for example, the oil price, how it went down. It went negative, and at the same time that it was negative, Tesla, the innovative car maker, had its peak in the stock market. It's something very, very hard to understand, but it's showing how software and ideas are taking the lead in the future of growth and profitability. So it's important that we can adjust to that. And no, we didn't not only see that, but we also saw that there was an increase of 125% in remote work usage, world has changed. So new technologies, new customer needs, diversity, and a remote workforce continue transforming how work is done. So now more than ever, organizations need agile leaders that can quickly adapt their teams to change. Most of the companies that I have seen probably, yeah, they have to move remotely because of COVID, but most of them will continue working remotely even next year. Most of them will continue working remotely in June, but a lot of them will really find how many benefits you have by working remotely, how many new things you can accomplish, maybe different things that the ones we were used to. But this will really change how things are being done, how teams are working. So we need to prepare leaders for this. Now, are leaders ready for all these challenges? Are leaders really ready to lead remotely for a long time? Because I probably you've seen that that if you're a leader or the leader in your team, probably you've been able to survive, to do as much as you can to just try to get things done in this COVID time. But are you really ready to lead with someone that you've never seen before, someone that maybe it's in another in another state or it's far away and you will ever maybe not ever see him or hardly ever see them? Well, this is a nice question, and a survey showed that 44% of leaders felt that they were unprepared for the roles, and 87% wished that they had more training. Uh, and this is something that companies are really struggling with nowadays. They feel like training is not a need, it's something that they can get online freely. It's not a priority, there's no time for that. We have other priorities that we need to attend, but really, leaders and teams are the ones, again, we're in the era of knowledge. So leaders are the ones that will help teams become effective. Without teams being effective, we don't have ideas or we don't have solutions or we don't have great customer service. So it's very important that we start working on how we can develop our employees. Uh, Studies show that organizations that maintain innovation outperform the market average by more than 30%, and organizations that have made a strategic investment in employee development reported 11% greater profitability and are twice as likely to retain their employees. According to a Boston Consulting Group research, actually 63% of the companies in the US are not planning on how to upskill their employees. So upskilling, we're talking about adding skills. It's not just changing everything they do, but adding some skill that may need maybe more needed in the future. And the history suggests that companies that invest in innovation through a crisis, especially, outperform peers during the recovery. So it's very important that in times of crisis, we still focus on how we can uh, develop the employees, how can we build innovation within the culture. So what I see here is, yeah, it's crisis, but I also see an opportunity. This, if you can see this word in Japanese, crisis, which is what these two signs mean, is made out of actually two signs for them, which then mean one means danger and the other one means opportunity. It means that we have to look for opportunities when there's a crisis, when things turn bad. This actually is a turning point that we can use to help teams thrive even in adversity and get ready to be better in the future crisis. So in the past, we thought that teams, well, they are part of the production chain, but they will adapt to whatever we need. But with COVID, we realized that it wasn't like that. that team members also have issues, that they have families, that they have different thoughts, different motivations. And this crisis has changed the priorities for all these team members. How can we now adapt companies to follow on those priorities so that we can get the best out of our team members? That's the critical thing that we have to do. And what's the critical role of leaders here? Leaders need to facilitate the interactions to succeed in a changing environment. That's the most important thing, especially after COVID-19. Leaders need to become more agile to work with the remote team and deal with an immediate crisis is key. The role of the leader working with a remote team has changed significantly. Before the pandemic, many leaders were used to checking on employees at all times to see if work was done. Most leaders were expected to be in charge to make all the decisions, all the important decisions. And suddenly the shift to a remote workforce and a more volatile environment where changes come at any time, where a lot of people is being fired. Well, a lot of companies, on the other hand, maybe pharmaceutical companies or online companies are growing so fast that this has a big impact. And one of the most important skills that leaders have to develop is facilitating the interactions with all the team members. We cannot just trust on one person to make all decisions. We need to make everyone, different people will have different points of view, will sense different things of the environment. So we need to try to see how we can understand those feelings, those thinking, those thoughts, and with that, try to define the best decision. But the only way to accomplish that is that if we can make sure that they interact the right way and they discuss how this can be achieved. And that's what we have to start working on with our teams. So leaders need to work on enabling the best in their people. That's the main role. Leaders should no longer be in charge of telling their teams what to do, but they should empower employees to be self-organized so that they can work well everywhere they are. We cannot check every time, every hour what they're doing. We have to trust that they're doing the right thing, but we need to build the environment so that this good thing can be done, so that they know exactly what are the values, what is the purpose of the company, and what is their own purpose, so that they know how to do or what to do. Like in sports, leaders can be outstanding performers. We've seen that, but you really need a team to win a championship. You just one star cannot make for the championship. How do we do this remotely? That's the big question. Maybe it's easier, and you can tell that before COVID it wasn't easier either. But how do we do it now? If we have a lot of teammates working remotely, well, we need to work on care about them. What I call care is 4 practices that will help leaders to become more agile. These have to do with connect, attend, respect, and empower your team. So working at the same location made it easier to stay connection with others. Working apart, employees demand more communication. So people look at least to stay in touch with a small tribe. That's something that it's very different from what we used to. In the past, we would expect to have very large meetings, maybe going to big conferences where we can see 1,000 people. We can discuss 1 or 2 minutes with different people, with hundreds of other team members. But right now, what people is looking for is more intense connections. We're looking for a small tribe where they can maintain a strong human connection with that small tribe. That would be maybe less than 10 or no more than 20 people in the same group. So the first C that we're going to discuss today, the first practice, is to connect. Connect with whoever is part of your process. Under typical circumstances, connection with other human beings reduces stress, increases the sense of purpose, and drives innovation. But when disruption reaches social contact, the role of the leader is to generate alternatives to facilitate this connection. So the first thing that you need to do is define what the purpose of your team is beyond being profitable. Of course, trying to find the real purpose. What is it that you can drive all your team members to focus on? Um, and discuss it with your team and make sure that everyone understands how they connect their actions to that purpose. For example, maybe a pharmaceutical company can say, well, we want to produce products that will make our community healthier as fast as possible. For example, that could be the purpose that makes everyone make decisions in that sense. There was a pharmaceutical company in India that, of course, like every pharmaceutical company, was really small to make decisions, to innovate, to look for other solutions. And after they redefine their purpose, their vision, they one of their researchers found out the cure for a solution that they for a problem that they had in only 15 days. So whenever you have something very clear, and we can see that in the example of the pharmaceuticals now with the COVID-19, how a process that used to take years and years to be tested, now everyone is trying to go into the same direction. Of course, we have different pharmaceuticals trying to accomplish the same thing. That's not ideal, but at least we're getting closer to what would be ideal. Then, once you have defined the purpose, you have to communicate to everyone. Make sure that everyone in the team is understanding it, and you have to communicate regularly what's going on with the purpose. How are we all aligning to that? So that's what we're gonna find out right now, different ways of that you can use to communicate remotely. And then you have to also, whenever you communicate, they know the purpose. You communicate what's going on, how you're getting there. You also have to foster innovation. Remember that the leader is the one that is connecting the team, not only within the team, but it's also connecting the people from the team within the team with other teams or with the community or maybe with suppliers. So that's the way that you can foster innovation, where you can look outside, look at the big picture and try to see what are the different needs, how you can interact with other people outside the circle and bring that information to the team so that you can accomplish better your purpose. So some ways to communicate are, are different, right, when you're working remotely, but it's very important that you communicate with your staff regularly and consistently, no matter the way. But you need to find a time, maybe to maintain a routine and ensure a safe space. Maybe you can have a meeting, maybe a shorter meeting every day, 10 or 15 minutes at the same time, but you need to find a common ground so that everyone can feel invited to that. Invite all members to turn on the video and maintain eye contact as much as possible. So again, if you have a small team, it's easier that you can all see each other, that you can really focus on what you're doing. Because if you're having all the cameras turned off, you have the problem that maybe people will be multitasking and doing something else. But if you're doing a very short meeting, you just need to maintain the focus. So reduce the time of the meetings to engage more people, to and make everyone speak up. That's also very important. When we are working face to face, maybe it's easier for you to recognize if someone is not feeling well, or if someone is shy to just say something, or is feeling angry about what you're saying. But when you're working remotely, maybe you cannot even see the camera. Maybe that's not an option. So what are the other options that you have? Make sure that you are making everyone talk in the meeting. If the person is in the meeting, there's a reason for that. You need to make them talk. And if for some reason you cannot do that, well, why don't you call that person after the meeting and try to see, find out if there's something wrong, if there's anything that they have been thinking about and they have not said. So try to be as open as possible. Use all the tools possible to communicate. The most common, of course, are Zoom, Teams, Google Meet, WebEx, Blue Jeans. There are tons of them. But remember that 60%, only 60% of the communication is like 40% is verbal, but 60% is non-verbal. So it's very important that you try to use different ways to communicate, different means, not only just verbal, but also videos or other ways to communicate. There are many companies that are organizing informal meetings for larger groups to promote networking, maybe a lunch every day that everyone can join in the same meeting, maybe a breakfast or maybe a weekly meeting. Many companies used to have the hands-on meetings once a quarter, once a year, once a month. Well, you have to define what's the best for you. But in the case of remote workers, it's better that you have that more often. We're also gonna see more ways to communicate. This is, for example, one. You have the company Globant, who has defined an operating system that is called Stormy Up, that can recreate casual encounters with other team members. So remember that we talked about connection and how we can bring more innovation to the table. And sometimes when you're all the time with the same team, small team, it's hard to innovate. Sometimes, and this is something that Google, for example, discovered, is that when people from different teams were gathering together in a break room or in a lunchtime, they were talking about something, maybe a problem that they had, and they were discussing it, and they were able to solve it just because it was kind of out of the box. It was a random encounter, and they were able to talk, thinking in a different way. So how you can achieve that when you're working remotely? You cannot just find people. Well, this tool, Start Me Up, helps you to do that, to accomplish exactly that. You can meet random people. You just can define what type of people you'd like to meet, or what type of skills you're looking for, and they can just do meetings instantly for you and schedule that for your team. So those are different ways that you can use to communicate with your teams. This tool, and it's not the only one, there are other tools that do that. You can review or reward some other employees. You can say if they did something right, something nice for others. You can provide stars. Other companies like Zappos, for example, say that you can provide them dollars. They're kind of like dollars, but it's something that you can, as an employee, give to another employee. So there are many tools that you can use, but try to find the best one that is useful for the type of team that you're having. So if you can write in the chat, is there any tool that right now you are using that you're finding that is useful, that you'd like to share? If you can think about that, maybe you can write that in the chat, and maybe we can talk about that at the end of the session. All right, so let's continue. So this was connection. Let's talk about now about attending. How that's the second practice that we have to do. How you can attend actively to your team. It means that you need to be present, to listen or give care or attention to your team. Another thing that changed when the working from home recommendation started was that most workers being alone at home had to learn to be more self-reliant. While working at the office, employees have the luxury to rely on leaders' decision-making process, but moving remotely push decision-making to the front line. So during a crisis, feeling safe is a basic human need. So your team needs to know that you are there for them. But be careful. The trick here is that um, it doesn't mean that you have to do the work for them or you have to make all the decisions. So this very particular practice is that you start trusting your team and start being more an observant so that you can see and help them make better decisions. So what you have to do is support them and make them feel safe so that they can work better on their own. As a leader, take more the role of the observer and help your team make up their mind by pushing decision making to the front line. Create a safe space to make mistakes at the same time so that they are not afraid to take responsibility. And you can do this by fostering transparency and helping them analyze risk. So I'm seeing some questions on the chat, so we can see if I can answer some of them. Also, for the communication is clear. Thank you. You know, it's great sometimes. You have to meet everyone to have a good webinar, but still the chat is it's a great tool so that you can express your ideas at the time. Sometimes at the end you don't remember, so it's nice. So here Giselle says, do you think that a daily meeting in the morning with your team is beneficial? I find sometimes that the meetings run too short. Great question. Well, great question. Well, so there's not a perfect answer. What I can recommend is that if the meetings are running short, probably you have to separate the topics that you need to discuss. Basically, the daily meetings are just status meetings. So probably what you have to do is divide it in three and said, okay, everyone in the meeting has to say very briefly what they have been working on, and then say if what is that they're doing today or what is that they are going to work on, and if they need help on something. So this is part of practice. A lot of people, when they talk, they they expand themselves and speak a lot. So that may be a reason why team meetings get too long. So you have to work with everyone so that they know exactly, they get prepared to their elevator pitch to say very briefly what they need to say in 1 or 2 minutes, whatever they need, be very concise, very briefly. And then if there are any issues on the call, let's say there's a big problem that we cannot discuss, that we cannot resolve quickly, that we need more help. Okay, you can write it down maybe in what we call a parking lot, and then you can discuss it later with the specific people. This is very important because sometimes you start discussing things in a meeting where you only have 2 or 3 people talking about it and the rest of the team is not participating, they're not involved. So if you don't need the other people, just take that out of the meeting and do another meeting especially for that. But keep the daily meetings very short, or people just get bored and they decide not to join. So if they know they have only 15 minutes, they will be on time, they will be brief, they will practice, and they will get ready. Maybe you can have a a timer so that people can make sure that they do things on time. Some comments here from Freddie. He says, for me, daily meetings are a very good tool to see all the status in smart meetings. That's right, only 15 minutes, no more. This is the Scrum essence. Yes, I agree. Yes, but again, this needs to be very, very careful. And we're gonna see today, by the end of the course, how you can plan these meetings and some other examples on how you can make this more effective. Some other comments, if meeting run too short, maybe we need to work on the agenda. The same happens when they take too long. Exactly. The agenda is key, and how you get people ready to know exactly what's going on. If you have status meetings, the agenda, you don't have to even waste a lot of time on the agenda. You just need to know what are the main topics that you every day will discuss. So the agenda will be super standard, but you have to be very tough on the timer. Excellent. Thank you everyone for the comments. Great. So to help make decisions, again, you have to communicate more than ever. So this is something for that the meetings can be very, very useful. You can also have other ways of communicating that I'm going to share in a couple of minutes. So some other ways to communicate is to make sure that whenever there's a specific crisis, there's something really bad that is going on, you can do a specific meeting for that if you can wait to the morning meeting and say exactly what you know, what you don't know, and engage the team in finding the solutions. All right. If you're a leader, you just hide the problem and just go with the solution. The team sometimes will not feel engaged with the solution or will not feel part of it. So the best thing that you can do is engage them, make them feel part of it. Now, many leaders say, well, how can we make this happen when we're online? I mean, many companies, especially conservative companies in the oil business, have been struggling a lot with this. For example, I've seen that there have been many leaks of information, companies trying to uh, lay off employees, and the employees learn before by the news than by the company. This is because they delay the communication. So communication has to be as fast as possible and as timely as possible. So the tool that I would like to share with you so that you can start helping the team, um, making decisions so that you can observe how your team thinks. What are the different ways? Is using Mural.co. I don't know if you ever used it. You can have a free version with the basic features, but it's very useful because you can have kind of post-its that you can move around for people to say what they think. You can see what are the ideas. You can see, maybe you can even coordinate your meeting or have your agenda on Mural so that people know exactly what are the things that you're going to review, what are the things that, what are the solutions that you're expecting, what are the main problems. So this is a very visual tool that you can use online. And I found it that it's very useful. And sometimes you say, well, but I'd like to do something anonymously. I don't want people to know what is it that I'm choosing or what is it that I'm voting for. Well, it has a specific tool that you can use so that people can be named after an animal or a beetle or a spider instead of a name, so that they can vote and they can put the comments or the post-its, whatever they want, and nobody knows who did what. So that's very useful. If you need any more information on this, just please contact me and I will help you with that. But this I found it that it was very, very useful. So this tool, I mean, you can use this tool or you can use other tools. You can use PowerPoint or you can use like boats. Zoom has that too, but you have to use any tool that you want to help your team brainstorm. Even if you're working separately, you still have to make these connections, okay? You have to help them share ideas, analyze risks together, use pictures, images, and videos to facilitate understanding. Make everyone share performance results. That's also very important. You can use Mural or another tool or a whiteboard that you can take a picture or something so that everyone knows how the others are doing. This is also, if someone mentioned Scrum before, I think it was Freddie. Yes, Scrum is used a lot. These boards, that is what you have to do, what you're doing or what you're working on, and what have been done. So that's the way of sharing your results, share your performance, not for someone to blame you if something is not done, but also for people to know exactly what's going on, how can we help each other. Maybe I finish faster than you and maybe I can help you some way. So there are great tools that you can use, like I will share later, like Asana or Trello, that you can use to share how people is doing. But it's very important that you start sharing this performance. Communicate and listen actively more than ever. So Instead of you being the only one as a leader receiving all the information and making all the decisions and nobody else knows everything, no, just try to move that to everyone so everyone can see what are the ideas, what are the results, and they can make the decisions, and you step aside and you just help them, provide them with tools so that they can communicate better, so that they can interact better and listen to what is that can be done. Encourage people to share information by democratizing digital folders, documents, and scoreboards. Mm. Provide access to trends, customer complaints, future trends, that your team is better prepared to make any type of decision. So the third aspect of care, so far we have seen connection or connecting to your team and paying more attention to what's going on instead of making all the decisions and being the star, just making your team be the star and you be attentive to see how you can help them. Now we have to think of how we can respect the employees' needs. As we said at the very beginning, employees' needs now are taking a very important role because in the past we used to care more about the customer experience, but now the customer experience is really nothing if we cannot focus on the employee experience. The employee is really the one that will build the customer experience every time. If you have employees that are not engaged, that don't feel respected, they will treat your customer the wrong way. They will not provide the best service that you're expecting. They will not be there always for the customer the way you want. And this is key to understand, but the customer is everywhere. It's not only the people that is in customer service or in sales that are dealing with the customer. Everyone is dealing with the customer. Everyone that sees anything outside can say anything about your company. Now, everything is open with Facebook, Glassdoor, Twitter. Everyone can comment on your company. So you have to make sure your employees are the best face of your company. And now with COVID, some employees needs change really, and they have to start to be taken into account. Some people were alone and were able to work more, while some others lived with their kids and had to work at night to be able to focus. So also we had the Black Lives Matter movement that intensified the need for equality, the diversity and inclusion for minorities. So respect is something very important that we have to start thinking from now on. So leaders need to practice respect, how to respect and understand the individual needs more than ever. Facilitating or coaching means that we trust our employees' abilities, value their differences, and highlight their strengths. So respect means empathizing with individual motivations. Try to coach them one-on-one. Try to understand how you can promote team psychological safety so that everyone feels understood or feels that you're listening to them. And they can, and you have to also build a cross-functional team where you will be able to see how that can benefit you with more ideas, more fresh ideas, and different backgrounds. So in the past, it was more common, or well, not in the past. Like nowadays, most companies are organized by groups where you have all the sales team, all the sales people on one side, all engineering people on the other side. And what do you make? Well, you have all these people have the same kind of experience. They kind of think the same way. The best thing that you can do is have teams that are more based on the customer needs. So you can have a team where you have maybe someone from sales, someone from engineering, someone from operations, someone from finances, and that way you can build a better product or a better service for that specific customer. As empathizing with employees helps you to figure out how to assist your employees so that they feel much better, much more comfortable to provide ideas, to collaborate more, and to be more engaged. So some companies have been doing different things to do this. Some are providing food in company, are sending food to the employees' houses. Others, such as call centers, are providing flexible schedules. So no matter what time you connect, as long as you get your 6 or 8 hours every day, whatever. So you have to find what is better for you. But what I would recommend for everyone is to try to have more frequent one-on-one sessions and ask them specific questions like, how are you handling this? How are you doing? Open questions that the employee can feel comfortable to speak up. Salesforce is a good example of a company that is led by the CEO, Mark Benioff, that fosters psychological safety through their core value, equality. One of their ways to equality is to encourage employees to join their equality groups. Groups are very common in big companies. Those are affinity groups that provide a safe space for people to connect around different aspects. Maybe you have Hispanics, or you have women, or you have transgender. Well, you have different things, but that help those in the team be able to communicate with people that have like same feelings and be more open to that. And this is making people feel comfortable at work. There are many companies that have this, but if you are working for a small company, maybe you have to find your own way to do this. Maybe you can help your employees share, I don't know, a women team in the community, outside the company, or you can share groups within various companies. You have to find a way, but it's something that is very useful, especially when people are feeling frustrated or they're feeling sad for a common problem like the one we're having right now. It's very good to help them be more open. And this may be surprising for you, but a McKinsey study showed that companies in the top quartile for racial and ethnic diversity were 35% more likely to have financial returns above their national industry median. So these numbers really represent how diversity and respect for people can help you be more innovative, get people more engaged, and also welcome different people from different parts of the world to join your company. Especially if now we're working remotely, there should be less limits for that. That's why something that I'd like to show you is the diamond structure, how you can start think of, maybe your company doesn't think this way, but you as a leader or as a team member can start thinking this way, trying to move the typical pyramid where we have the leaders on the top just communicating top down all the ideas or all the directions for the company. Why don't we think in terms of a diamond where the owners, the executives are on the base trying to help build a good foundation for leaders, for teams, and the ones at top are the customers who will bring us the ideas, who will tell us what they want, who will bring the money so that we can all work together and improve the communication. The communication should be both ways, from customers to teams, teams to leaders, from leaders to teams, both ways, bottom up and top down. This is the inverted pyramid. It's an idea that many companies are working on already, and it helps them bring more ideas and also facilitate interactions, like, for example, in self-organized teams. So in order to achieve that, you have to encourage associates to set up goals and to be owners of their team. You have to work on the last practice, which is called empowerment. This means defining team routines such as daily meetings, or provide tools for them to check in daily. As I said before, using Asana, Trello, Monday. Those are tools that you can use so that everyone can see what's going on. This is a picture of Trello. You can create an online environment where people feel safe to provide updates, offer ideas, and ask for support. Make it more like a pull system where they ask for your help, not a push where you tell them all the time what to do or you're asking all the time how things are going. If you're making a system where they can communicate, even if you're working in a company that is, for some reason stops going remotely and you start working in locally, there are many ways that you can make this happen too. You can use words, you can use even the same online tools, but keep using that because these help people and teams work together and know what's going on. And they can control their own work. They don't have to wait for you to tell them what to do. So it's very important that as leaders, we'll start encouraging self-organization so that team members don't depend on you and they know exactly what they have to do. This is the way you have to imagine. Whenever your employee stops, they don't have nothing to do for some reason. They finished or the machine is stopped. So do they know what to do or do they have to ask you what to do? If they have to ask you, well, there probably will be a lot of time that will be idle, that people will do nothing, just waiting for instructions. And time is money. So how you can make sure that they already know what to do. So what I also do for companies that are not remotely, I use what I call action plans. It's a small paper that the employees can write down what are the things or the ideas that they have, what are the things that they want to do. And whenever they have some time off, they are early or whatever, they just can go there and see what's for them to do. No questions asked, they just do it. Of course, you can do this remotely, you can do this locally. It's up to you. You just have to think how you can empower them. Making decisions during crisis is like planning long term. Everything is variable. So while you empower your team, they will become sensors to help detect and deal with issues in the future more quickly than if you had to do it all by yourself. So that's why empowering is also a way to help you go through risk much better, more effectively. So the last two I want to share with you is the 5S, which I use a lot to encourage teamwork. This is how you can see it in a physical environment. You can show them how to organize tools, how to have how to, for example, do a procedure, but you can also have things online. I use a lot 5S, for example, to organize documentation, to be able to find documentation online, to how to, for example, one of the tools for 5S is sort, the first one, sort what you need from what you don't need. And if you check your mailbox, how many mails you have that you don't use, how many documents you have that you have already used and you still keep them maybe on the desktop. So you also have to use the same thinking of the 5S, the sort, store, shine, standardize, and self-organize to help you everywhere you are, even with your family. I'm seeing here a comment, one challenge not less of teams with members from different departments is the fact that they don't report to you officially, which can be a good thing. The opportunity is that you can greatly improve your leadership skills and they can develop self-sustaining skills. Yes, that's good. Exactly. That's what I was saying at the very beginning is that you don't have to be a leader for being able to work with people or tell them what to do. You can sometimes you are not the leader, but you work with others, and if you improve the communication, you use the same care system for everyone around you, you will improve the interactions and you will improve the results, no matter if you're working remotely or if you're working in the same place. Excellent. So last but not least, some characteristics of self-organizing teams that you can take into account so that you can start working remotely more effective is to have, as I said before, small tribes of 6 to 12 people. Try these teams to be multidisciplinary. Okay, that means that you can bring people from different sectors. As Jorge was saying, maybe people from other departments that don't work for you, but you can make them meet periodically so that you can come up with new ideas. But of course, it's very important that they, even if they are from different sectors, that they have specific roles. They know exactly what they are there for, what's their expertise, and so that they can work autonomously, right? If they are the only ones that can make decisions on finance, let's say, or engineering, they will be the ones that you have to trust, and they know exactly what are the boundaries, where they can decide and where they cannot decide. In order to do that, you also may need to have a specific budget so that they can make decisions on the budget, on hiring, what are the type of people that they need, what are the specific characteristics that they need in a new hire, and what are the ways of rewarding these people. And I always talk about rewards. It's very important how you reward people for doing a good job. And it's not something, maybe that you have to do annually. Many companies have these annual reviews where they tell them, well, you've been right or wrong, but that was annually. So what did you do during the year? Were you able to improve during the year? Well, that's a long time. So changes now are more often. So you have to communicate and reward your people more regularly. It doesn't mean that you need to give them more money, but many companies, as I mentioned before, are doing peer reviews or giving dollars or giving stars or whatever, so that you are not, as a leader, you're not the only one rewarding someone, but you may want to reward a coworker or someone from another team because you saw something amazing. Let's do that. Let's build a system for that to happen. And also allow fast decision making. This is very important, that a team is allowed to make decisions. As you have people that are capable, that they have their roles, they're autonomous, they have their own expertise. Build a system so that they can make decisions. They have the right information to be able to make decisions. If you have to wait for them to go up in the pyramid, then decisions are so slow that at the end, they may not be worth it anymore. So I hope you enjoy. Let's talk about the summary. Remember, those are the 4 core practices: the connection, attention, respect, and empowerment. And we also discussed three skills for each of this. So now it's time for questions. If you had anything in particular you would like to discuss or comment, please feel free to do that right now. Well, I'm seeing here some more comments. Rewarding is the main tool to motivate your teams. Maybe with a big hug is enough. Pat on the back. Yes, exactly. Sometimes it's not a lot of money. Sometimes it's just, maybe allowing, well, now it's not a good time for that, but maybe allowing the family to come into the company. That's something. Or maybe you can, for example, if you have someone that is pregnant, you can do a baby shower online so that it's safe, but you're helping your people, share things. You can also, as I said before, do peer reviews. People can, have $50 or a 50 card Starbucks gift card every month to give to someone, and they can decide who to give that to. That's even $10 is something nice, or maybe a party, or maybe a diploma saying you're certified, or the owner of the company is recognizing you for something nice you did. So there are many ways, many ideas, and it's good that maybe you can ask your people. With one of the companies, we did like a fishbone diagram with ideas on how you want to be rewarded. Maybe trip or something. So do that. You can use the Mural call for that too. Well, thank you very much. There are very nice comments. Thank you. Excellent ways to use the CARE as an acronym for the subject. Thank you. Thank you for the tips to reinforce to my clients. Yes, this is for, as I said, it's for everyone. Well, and just for you to know, we also provide all our tools are being provided online, personal coaching for the individuals. Sometimes they are going through bad things in the family and they may need some support, or they are low in self-esteem. That's something that you can detect as a leader. Maybe they can contact us. We can give them a free session. We also do executive coaching for preparing leaders or leaders to be for new positions. And we're also helping teams with remote work best practices. So please contact us. The presentation has been recorded, so I will upload it. I will send you the link so that you can access to it. And for the ones that are interested in more information, you can contact me. You can send me an email, and you can get a 7-day free access to our new app, where you have online courses. You can download the action plan that I mentioned. You can access to our blog with weekly information and the weekly micro changes or suggestions that we give to leaders every week. Or you can buy my book, 5S Your Life, to read more about self-organization, both in a physical environment or also in a remote environment, and help your team eliminate procrastination and self-organization. Thank you very much. Any other question? We still have 2 minutes. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to tell. Thanks for the advices. Thank you all. Yes, there's agile is the new skill right now. You have to be agile, you have to be self-organized, and you have to help your team to build those skills too. So if you have any more questions, again, feel free to contact me. If you want to get this free access to this tool, just send me an email and I will provide it to you. Thank you very much for attending the session. I really appreciate this. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving, and I hope now you had a great end of the year. Thank you very much. See you next time. You can follow me if you want more information on YouTube. You have a lot of videos uploaded with more information. You can go to LinkedIn for weekly and daily posts, Instagram, and also we have a podcast that you can access for weekly information and weekly podcasts. Thank you very much again. See you next time.